A very good and warm afternoon to all our viewers. Welcome to King's Camp in the Timbavati in the South African Lowveld this afternoon, where it looks like we've got two warthogs. Looks like the one's quite wet. Might have gone into the water there. I am Japie Potgieter and I'll be hosting you this afternoon. It's quite funny. Looking over the pan's edge like this, you can see the warthogs looks almost exactly the same color as the elephant dung balls floating on the edge. And there's a blacksmith lapwing. You can see there's a slight breeze going. I guess it's not as hot there this afternoon as it can get. That one's moving quite quickly. I think he's moving out of the sun. What an amazing spot this is. You can see a little bit of greenery there in the background, which is very, very nice. This area is not too green this time of the year. And of course, we don't have our rain of the season yet. We haven't received anything yet in these regions. Also, the trees that's green are those that keep their leaves all year round. They provide very, very beautiful shade to animals during the heat of the day. And we can see, judging from the dried mud on these dead trees and trampled ground being wet, you can see seems like there were quite a few animals that came down to this spot today. Penelope Kenyon, how are you doing this afternoon? Yes, I think we're going to have a good day today. Thank you so much. I will definitely enjoy, and I hope the same for you. Chakabaka, good afternoon from Trinidad and Tobago. Amazing. Good afternoon to you too. You can see a bit of grass around here. But not too near now. I might check in again later. So we're going to head over to Old Donyo and see what Africam's got there. And here we have an elephant and a giraffe. Two giraffes. In a clearer sky than usual. It's a little bit of cloud cover as expected. Close to the tropics. We went from a very, very dry, not so humid region to a more humid region in the tropics. Can get quite dry out here. The general area is regarded to fall within the arid and semi-arid regions of southern Kenya. Hello to you too, Catherine. Good to see that you are watching this afternoon. This looks like a younger elephant bull. You can see he's just here to drink, but looks like he's casually moving around the pan. From what I can see, he's got a little bit of wetness on him, but he's got some fluid or moisture coming out of his temporal glands. Now, there's still a lot of debate around what exactly or why exactly that might be, but one of the reasons that we know is it happens when the animals either under stress or excited. Even though I can't feel the heat there at Oldonyo, I'm pretty sure it's nice and warm. And who knows, maybe this elephant came from quite far out, so I had to cover quite a long distance for this water. You can see he's still drinking, so I'm curious to see how he might react towards a giraffe once the giraffe gets closer. Yes, Catherine, that is indeed true. Well, at least I haven't seen Kilimanjaro for myself from here, but that would be something spectacular to see. So it would be nice if it does clear up. But then again, rain clouds are also a good thing. Rains are important. Now we've got a few warthogs visiting. They look like they might be a little bit suspicious towards the camera side. I think maybe they got a fright there from the birds. I can hear an oxpecker is also going. The giraffe just waiting his turn. Looks like a nice, decent sized male giraffe. Just look at all those oxpeckers on his neck. That is very busy. Well, the looks of it, the guy's not too old. Certainly got one or two marks, bumps, knobs on the head. So I'd say he's definitely at an age where he's already competing with other males. And competing in the giraffe world means necking, using their long necks to swing their very heavy heads. You can see those bony protrusions above the eye. They get the skull becomes very hard, very, very tough the older they get. And they also become more experienced with age. I don't know if it's considered fortunate or not, but I've happened to see a couple of serious giraffe male contests in the past, and at least from the times that I watched, it was often the older, leaner giraffe. And I've always considered the most likely one to win the battle, but they seem to have a little bit of advantage through their skill and experience. But of course this giraffe's decided against it. It's going to leave the elephant to do his thing and mud himself up. You can see he's covering all the good spots inside, under the belly, behind the ears, and the shoulders, top of the head. Penelope Kenyon, you're saying it's cool and rainy on the north coast of KZN. That's very good to hear. That's some good raining weather reaching that part of South Africa already. Very, very good to hear. I'm sure it's not too cold, but yeah. Oof, it will be beautiful there now this time of the year. That's quite smart. You see he's moved around to that part. You can hear him slurping. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's also a water inlet that side. So the elephant, no, he's used the muddy side, mud himself up after drinking, of course, and then head over to the water inlet. That's quite funny, that giraffe making a quick cameo. It looks like something odd with that giraffe's horns. Looks almost like one's laying down. I'm not sure if it's male or female, but it would be interesting to know what happened there. They do occasionally sustain injuries earlier on, and then for some reason sometimes these horns don't attach themselves properly to the skull, which only happens later in giraffe lives. Birds coming down to the water. It's not common to see the elephants get a bit of a fright from the birds. I mean, birds in large flocks do tend to get spooked quite easily, kind of setting off a chain reaction. But it looks like there's quite a steady breeze going, and now the clouds moved away from in front of the sun, so you can see this elephant is continuing to drink a casual, slow drink, making sure that he hydrates himself well enough. I'm not sure what his plans might be after this, but I'm pretty sure that by the looks of it, he might not be back at this watering hole too soon. So I find it very interesting to just listen to them around the watering hole. You can hear all the little flies and flying insect buzzing, but that slow slurp of the elephant. And you can hear the movement and the action, which is pretty amazing. One of the amazing benefits of technology and unique chances to get to see animals at the watering hole like this. Zweli, you're asking a very interesting question. And it's a question I had myself. You're asking if there are any birds that follow or land on elephants religiously. I wouldn't say religiously, but they do. There are some. And I didn't know this up until I went to East Africa myself for the first time. And there was a bird there that I saw on the elephants called a piak. An interesting crow type of bird. And that was the only time I've ever seen birds on elephants. Generally, with that trunk, they can remove them, so possibly one of the reasons why the oxpecker doesn't land on it. But otherwise, everything else around this watering hole will have oxpeckers on them at some point. Yeah, those warthogs sped out of the camera view very, very quickly. It goes to show how in tune the animals are. With the movement of birds, how much they rely on birds. One of the advantages of the oxpecker is it's also kind of like an early alarm bell for some animals. Often spotting danger first and alerting the animal, especially in situations like this where their concentration and focus is away from their surroundings. I think I'm happy to see that the other animals have mustered the courage to come and drink with this elephant. He seems to be quite occupied there. But I want to head over to Cat's Eye Pan and see what exciting stuff Africam has for us there. Aha, and we have an elephant family. With an amazing view. You can see, similar to the other elephant at Altonio, also drinking from what seems to be a little bull trough. Now, Catherine, you're saying that egrets sit on elephants. That is true. I've actually seen a cattle egret on elephants in Queen Elizabeth National Park in Uganda, but also never saw it anywhere else. And also haven't seen it in southern Africa, that's for sure. I guess in areas where there's not a lot of trees and it's open grassland, potentially it's easier for the birds to get a chance. Ooh, yeah, there's an elephant coming over. Let's see what happens here. Looks like a young bull that's come in. And it is quite nice to see that he respects that older elephant. Left her to drink and make her way out. Maybe for this very reason why these young ones wading into the water, maybe that's the reason why these elephants are not drinking from that pool directly. They have the option of cleaner water. You can see very, very dry in this region of South Africa. It doesn't look like the spring's crept in there yet. And judging from the vigorous flapping of the ears, it must be quite hot. Well, that's a decent sized herd. There's a few very big elephants there, a few very wet elephants. You can see the little one going full out down in the water. Must be quite tough for that little one, being as young as it is, keeping up with the herd on a hot day like this, especially this time of the year when resources become a little bit stretched. And this midday stop at the watering hole becomes quite an important, quite a very welcome break to them. What an amazing view of these giants as they come around. Get a nice view of their very, very long legs, rounded flat feet. But it looks like it's time to move, so I'm sure that the female elephant in charge here made the decision to get going. And just look at that. What a view. As busy and splashy as they were around the water, as quietly they just disappears into the dry bush. But I think what we'll do is we'll head over to King's Camp in a similar region. And let's see if there's something interesting around the watering hole there. Ooh. Nice big elephant. It's just come out of the water. And it might be going back in the water. What a view. What a view indeed. I really like this camera, especially with the elephants. And they're coming towards the water outlet. But it gives us a chance to have a very good view of them. And I was talking about the very oddly shaped feet just now. This elephant's got a mud cake on top of its head. We can see the different parts of the skin. You can clearly see how thick the skin around the trunk and the legs and the body is, and then that much thinner skin around the ears there. You can see some veins. Oh, it's quite a nice view. And nice big flat ears. African elephant, well known as the African savanna elephant, spends a lot of time out in the open, straight under the sun. And the ears are quite large. So they help in cooling the animal, just moving like fans, not just through the motion. It produces a thin layer of air traveling across the body. Oh, that Greg overboard actually gave me a fright. I didn't expect it to be that loud. But we can clearly see the thick folds there on the side of the skin. So as that air, the cooler air from the motion of the ears move down the body, of course, all that wet mud, water, the moisture trapped in this thick folds. It's a little bit protected from the sun. That would then aid in cooling the animal, as well as, of course, those veins. We can see got some very large prominent veins on the back side of the ear, and all the blood from the elephant's body travel through that. At some point, so the action of flapping the ears literally cools down the blood. Even if it's just a little, that cooler blood goes through the body and then generally helps the animal regulate its temperature. What an incredibly adapted animal for this environment. Being so kind with us. There's a good view. You can see this elephant's just focused down below. Important part, drinking, hydrating. But I would like to remind our viewers of a very unique opportunity next year, which was the Ultimate Kenya with James Henry. That'll be taking place in May 2025. It would be for a group of 6 people, although there is only 4 spots left. Only 4 spots left, so you need to jump to get onto that opportunity. Of course, the talking points would be Amboseli and the Masai Mara, both incredible locations. Of course, Amboseli, you can see Mount Kilimanjaro, the very large elephant herds, and a potential chance of getting a photo of an elephant with Mount Kilimanjaro in the background. And then, of course, the Masai Mara, arguably the best safari in Africa. And at this time in May, it'll be a little bit less busy than usual, which will be pretty spectacular. And of course, you'll have James Henry as your guide, and he'll make it very, very fun and informative throughout the whole experience. Victor, indeed, it looks like a Eddie day today. And I'm not complaining. I do like elephant. I do find them fascinating. I find there's so much to learn from them. I think we'll leave this elephant enjoying the water here and hydrating. We're going to head over to Rosie's Pan. Where we've got another wading elephant. You can see the water looks a little bit greener. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Maybe a combination of whatever. Whatever soils are dissolved in it, and a bit of algae. It's not deterring the elephant, of course. Just look at all that elephant dung. Some very, very prominent pathways coming up to this water. Of course, this seems extremely popular spot, like the popular spot. And clearly this elephant seems quite relieved to be able to cool himself down like this. It looks like a younger bull. There's a chance that there might be more out, but I wouldn't be surprised. He looks on the age that he could be moving around on his own at points. Might have maybe come into this area not just for the water, but maybe following a herd. You can see a splash off to the right. There we go. I think might be another elephant. There we go. It looks like another young male. He looks in a more playful nature. That one's pretty spectacular. There we go. Just gonna fully utilize this opportunity to cool down. And a third one. Now the game's on. Just look at these three enjoying themselves. I'm quite amazed at the fact that the pan's actually, its walls is actually able to maintain the water. Fuzzy Dunlop, we're indeed having a pool party. Seems like it was quite a brief pool party. There's that low rumble. I was thinking for a moment there when they stood up now and they stopped. Like they're picking up on something else, or maybe the arrival of other elephants in the area. And that low rumbling that we've heard now, that's just them communicating. What is this elephant doing? It looks like he was just investigating his dead tree. He's got a bit of green grass. Cat fan, it is quite a pleasure. I always enjoy watching these guys getting wet and wild in the water. And this is also one of the things that I find so amazing is no matter where they are capable of finding something that might be useful to them to eat. And that one required quite a bit of strength. You can see, and it's amazing, the elephant wraps its trunk around, almost like a hand would take a grass tuft to pull it out. And it looks like that grass is wedged in there quite tightly. So from that amazing strength to a very gentle little shift before placing it in its mouth. Oh look, there's almost like a little stop and then just repositioning the grass on the trunk before putting it up into the mouth, making sure that it's clean of any excess dirt. And why might they be doing that? It's to maintain some matter of oral hygiene. Making sure that they take care of their teeth, cleaning the dirt and excess sand off the roots. And what I always find amazing about elephants as well is if you follow tracks of them through an open area with long grass, you often find tufts of the grass where just the inflorescence, the flowering parts are bitten off. Depends on the time of the year, depends on the species. And off goes our elephants. What a unique landscape this is. Quite hilly country. What a beautiful view here from Rosy Span, but a very, very dry part of the year. That's where these watering holes become so important. Provide the animals much needed nourishment. And it is very interesting because they also need to, that's why they can attract animals to certain areas, which give people traveling to these parts the opportunity to actually get to see these animals, which is extremely important because these areas are sustained by the income generated through the tourism, and that way they stay wild. You can see quite a bit of bubbles coming up. I'm assuming that it might be some fish, maybe catfish. But yeah, from the dry Southern African lowveld, we're gonna head over to the seaside at Stony Point. Oh, complete bliss. Incoming waves, you can see the swaying bamboo. What an amazing view. Just the sound of the waves crashing on the rocks is something that I can certainly appreciate for very, very long periods of time. By the looks of it, it looks like it's quite windy that side. One of the best things of having a view of the ocean is there's always a chance of something just popping out. Something. Yeah, there we go. There's our now Egyptian goose. And what seems to be a Hyrax is a bodyguard. You can see that Hyrax is sitting up enjoying some sunlight, warming up. Perfect safe spot, got a good view. You can see the goose seemed quite relaxed, head was tucked away, which sometimes happens if it is quite windy. Very, very secure spot. Catherine, you saying it looks cold and windy. I agree. I think it's part of the reason why this Hyrax is sitting like that. See the rocks behind him provides a little bit of a shelter from the wind. He's definitely trying to get whatever sunlight it can get. And I can imagine that during the evenings, with weather like this time of the year, these furry little animals, temperatures can drop quite significantly there on the rocks out there. Look at that position he's found himself in now. Couldn't be more relaxed. Joan, I'm very happy that you are enjoying the view of the ocean. So am I. You can see even that Dussie, the Hyrax, is very relaxed as well. Interesting, odd little creatures. You can see that well adapted toes for the provide them with excellent grip, being able to move over this very unique and tough terrain. It looks like he's facing the sun with his belly, trying to warm up. Here, you see lots of those rocks are covered in bird droppings. Oh, what is that? There's a, it looks like a cormorant of some sorts. And that was what I was going to say. I think those rocks are being used as purchase for the cormorants. Dry themselves out after their dives. Sit and wait. Quite an interesting thing about cormorants, which in my opinion goes a little bit counter-logical, but their feathers are actually a little bit less waterproof than normal birds, which enables them to be able to dive easily and go down to deeper depths. We have another stretched out Hyrax group. Looks like 2-3 animals. What a relaxed time of the day. They don't seem busy with much, looking for food. Not too bothered for predators. Looks like an all-round ideal Sunday here for them. I'm sure they're certainly getting a snooze in there. And these little guys have got very, very good eyesight. And part of catching some sunlight out in the open on the rocks like this is they also have a vantage point, so they can spot anything. They have the numbers set out in different spots. If one misses something, the other one can pick it up. And they've got a very unique call that they can use to alarm each other. For a moment there, I think that Hyrax was fully asleep. It looked like it might even fall off there. good scratch right under the chin. Mercedes Bean, you saying cutie pie? I agree, they can be quite cute. They look quite cute. Especially where they're puffed up coats. Very, very thick coats certainly provides them with the much needed warmth. What a nice little catch up here with the ocean side. Such soothing sounds, such a beautiful place. And talking about beautiful places, I think we're going to head over to Tembe Elephant Park and see if we can catch up with the elephants that side. And here we have the Tembe elephants. Looked like a couple of male elephants just enjoying this Tembe watering hole. And it seems to be a rather warm Maputo land, and maybe doesn't look like there's any rain that side today. You can see a breeze going, that's for sure, rather a wind. An elephant then there at the back, and over here we can see these guys just enjoying the sun, the shade near the water, each minding his own business. There's a warthog there in the background. Now these elephants at Tembe, I find they have a very calming presence. They're generally quite relaxed towards each other. I think they've probably, if they haven't before, but over this dry season they would have had some proper time to scope and feel each other out. They know where they stand with each other. And what better place to spend your midday sunny period than around a watering hole, especially here in this very humid Maputo land climate. Sandy Franklin, good morning to you too. Yeah, good morning to you here from our midday. But what a good question. How are elephants and dassies related? So, without getting too technical, which I don't pretend to know that much of, that's something I'll probably have to have a good look at to see exactly how they're related. But from what I understand, they share some common semi-aquatic ancestry. And they have some similarities or remnants of the time that they were closely related. Oh, and here we've got one elephant that seems to be a little bit more active. How nice does that look? That's amazing. Let's see if there's other ones coming over to join him. I was wondering why. It looks nice and warm there. I was wondering why I haven't seen an elephant in the water yet. But elephants and dassies being related, there are some certainly very unique adaptations that the species had to make in their transition from the semi-aquatic ancestry to a more terrestrial species. I mean, elephants certainly not only maintained a very large water requirement, that can also just go with the fact that they're such large animals, but they have certain interesting developments. One being that there's no pleural space or space between their lungs and their body, and their lungs are directly attached to the side walls of the body, which means that they can't spend too much time on this side. And part of the reason why we don't really see elephants laying down sleeping, although they do for short periods at a time, even very large elephants. But another thing that dassies and elephants and some of the other relatives like the manatees have in common is the way their eyes produce tears and moisturizes the eye. They have different adapted nerves. They don't have the same anatomy and functional parts, like for instance tear ducts, similar to some of the other terrestrial animals. And their third eyelid, or their nictitating membrane, is what produces the moisturizing liquid that covers the eye. And that's why we often see elephants rubbing in their eyes. We see these little white patches forming in the corners of the eyes, which can be on occasions just as the third eyelid, or that membrane, the nictitating membrane, involuntarily closes every time the elephant blinks its eyes, because they don't have the ducts where the tears can disappear or circulate back into their body, or at least some of it. Kind of just gathers in the bottom of the corner of the eye. That's why sometimes it looks like elephants have tears running down. Especially on windy days, we often see quite a bit of activity. The animal tends to blink more. Or especially after it's been covering itself with dust or mud. Yeah, so they've adapted their physiology a little bit different to what other mammals' eyes are. One theory suggests this is because of a time when they had a little, well, they have a more of a semi-aquatic lifestyle, and they didn't really need that extra moisturizing because they spend a lot of time underwater. But after watching Tembi's very calm elephants, I'm going to head over to Aldonio and see who's come down there. Amazing. 4 elephant bulls, some zebra. Still looks quite windy there. You can see the elephant on the left is literally resting his back leg, giving it a little bit of relief from carrying that heavy body. Yeah, indication that it's quite relaxed, just enjoying a drink. Very likely these 4 elephants encounter each other regularly in this region, so not no reason to act inappropriately. The giraffe just moving past, scanning the situation, probably hoping for a spot to come and have a drink. You can really hear each time that mud spatters onto the body, you can hear, it sounds almost like the sounds of wind. cement's getting thrown against the wall when the wall's being plastered. And I'm quite amazed at the almost pinpoint accuracy that these elephants can aim those little clumps or balls of mud to certain targeted areas. And all three of them seems to be targeting the areas around the belly, between the legs. I'm sure, especially this time of the year, that's the good time of the year where animals pick up quite a bit of ticks and parasites. It looks like I can see a baboon as well, just feeding on the outskirts of the pan. I won't dare to go closer now. Mercedes Bean, you asking where is one ton? No, I haven't seen him myself. I actually can't wait for my first glimpse. From what I hear, he usually brings quite a bit of excitement with him. By the looks of it, these elephants aren't overly excited. They're just there to perform some very, very much needed regulation and hydration. The zebras looking longingly and quite desperate to come in for a drink. And the giraffe. So there's two giraffes there at the back just investigating each other, and no one turned around. So kind of interesting little interaction there. They seem to know that these elephants are spending a bit of time and they're gonna take a while here. But I hope later the other animals get a chance to come down to have a drink. But we're gonna head over to Rosie's pan. Where we have young elephants playing. Excuse me. You can see these elephants are nice and wet. Looks like most of them had a good swim. And a dust, some of them, in that red soil on their back, their head. Will act as a nice barrier, maintain some of the moisture. Interesting to note that those, well, I don't know what those 3 elephants have there. But obviously it's piqued the interest of all 3. And these 2 are getting to know each other a little bit better here. Slight pushes. By the looks of it, they might actually maybe just be investigating whatever other animals move through, or other elephants move through there. I can see those branches of that tree is heavily broken. You can see the bark stripped, pieces chewed and spat out. Just heard that low rumble again. The back's using the shorter one as a good scratching post. I think there might be quite a few elephants in this area because I constantly hear them calling to each other. It's almost like a signal each time it's time to move. You see this one's a little uncertain. Should it go with the other 3 or follow the one that's moved away? And there's that amazing low rumble again. One of the many ways that they communicate with each other. There we can actually see that elephant is busy debarking the tree, and this is quite an interesting thing to see. You can see that bark's obviously quite tough, and the elephant, here we go, it's using its foot as well. Strip it down all the way. Oh, sure. Seems like the other one came and interrupted. Wanted to come and see what it's up to. Now he might steal the hard work of the other elephant. You can see he's got his trunk wrapped around it properly. There we go. Just it off like nothing. Now stripping a tree like that can be extremely hard and tough. I'm not sure what tree it is, but judging from the color of the inner bark, might be a small knobthorn, which is a tree that they target quite a bit in this region, especially this time of the year. Now, it's not enough grass to sustain the elephant population in this particular region during the dry season. We still need certain nutrients, so this is what we see them do, is bark. Often they'll just break the branch and chew it. They need to chew the bark off. So as these elephants are moving, I'm excited, but I think let's head over to Tau Lodge and see what's happening on Africam around there today. And we have a very muddy elephant, some grey zebra moving off, others standing around getting a little unsure near the water. And what else do we have here? What I really like about towers, the longer you look, the more animals you see. There's the elephant taking a nice mud bath, causing a stir there. And very clear blue sky. So take it, it's quite warm there. There's another elephant, another few elephants in the distance. Till I saw a grey heron there. Like usual, there's always something going on around here. Just look at that elephant, completely covered in mud. I'd be curious to see if he's going to walk around to feed a bit here, or if he's going to leave. He looks mudded up well enough to travel quite a bit of distance. I can see things are starting to get a little bit more dry on this side of the watering hole. And I'm not surprised with these hot temperatures. No rain in this region yet. These months of September, October, this is when the water quickly disappears. There we go, there's another elephant in the mud. Another few baby elephants in the mud. Fully utilizing their chance. You can see that freshly rolled mud And see now the birds are going, capitalizing on that situation, getting whatever insects they can from that. There we go. Seems to be done with their mud bath and on their way. That was quite something to see. It was very quick but efficient. Both of those little ones are almost completely covered. There we can see quite a lot of zebra, wildebeest, elephant in the distance. You can see the wildebeest just waiting, not even going to move too far. You can see one laying down there, so quite a relaxed atmosphere. Penelope Kenyon, I'm hearing you saying that you wish that your binoculars work through the camera or the TV. Indeed, in some cases. I think the nice thing with the Africams is that they can zoom in quite closely. They do go out quite wide and then they can focus quite intensely, which is nice to see. You can see that wildebeest laying down behind the two zebras on the right. Looks like a really old guy. He looks like he's a little bit covered in mud as well, and slightly distinguished from the rest of the group. So I'm assuming that might be one of the bigger, older bulls that will keep territory in this region. Okay, we are gonna head over to Juma. Here we have an elephant mud bath. Now Juma also being situated in the low veld, the Southern African low veld. You can see it's a very hot day there today. And we were experiencing quite a bit of dead fish around this watering hole. Over the last few days, last few weeks, and I am not surprised. You can see how these animals are utilizing it, but they are certainly muddying up the water quite a bit. And with this low water levels, of course, it would make the oxygen a little bit less. And look at that baby elephant. The one was climbing on top of the other one there. This is amazing. The whole group is properly mudding themselves up now. Cat fan, when I'm assuming you asked your question when we were at Tau, and you were asking what the squeaking sound in the background was. Now, I heard a number of birds calling there, and I'm not sure exactly which one you might have referred to. but the birds around tower you can always hear very, very clearly. I'm assuming that there's quite a lot of bird activity around the camera, the Africam. Looks like there's more elephant coming in. I just find this little elephant enjoying the mud so interesting to watch. There's quite a few elephants here. There's another 2 tiny babies coming in. So that should be interesting to see. What a sight. You can see that hill there in the background being a clear testament of just how dry it is currently in this region, and therefore these periods of relief from the dry heat during the day is a very exciting moment for the elephants. Now, by the looks of it, that watering hole looks like it's just got a dam wall built, and it runs within what we call a drainage line with a dry riverbed, and that's why there's a little bit more greenery here. Now, I'm assuming what might happen, well, except, oh, there's a nice pan there for the elephants to drink. So let's see, maybe some of these elephants might come around this side and come and join those elephants for a drink. But I have a suspicion that they might be traveling up that dry riverbed. They're going to be looking for an area that's got a little bit more shade, greenery, food to eat. Some of the broadleaf trees further up on the hill at the back, away from this dry riverbed, don't have the trees that keep their leaves. They're more the broad-leaved trees that lose their leaves during the dry season. But generally the hills are quite empty during South Africa's dry season. Just look at that, elephants almost everywhere you look. I'm still trying to figure out if they are one herd or if it's just different smaller groups has joined up due to the water. We'll see now, but you can clearly see the related little groups moving together. One more senior cow and then her offspring, and potentially another younger cow with her offspring, which I think is the case here. And now that there was a very clear shake of the head telling him to get up and come. It's time to move. No time for laying around. You can see they're moving quite quickly, and they look like they might be coming up to drink this side at the pan. And that's something I also find quite fascinating is with elephants, like once they're near water, you can see they speed up. There's a very definite, clear urgency to get drinking, especially with those little ones there. I'm sure they would want to get there, but there's a good scratch there. Just had to do that, so an important stop. We've been getting a lot of good elephant action today, everywhere, all over. Let's see, I think they might make a stop past the water, cleaner water to drink. This has been very, very productive. Beautiful to see such a large herd. And as they're coming in to drink, we're gonna see what's coming in at Old Onyo. Oh, what a scene. 3 elephants with zebra in the front. Very, very beautiful scene. Pretty sure these zebras are going to get a number of frights from the elephants' actions. But while we're here in East Africa, I want to tell our viewers about the Gorillas and Safari experience with James Henry next year, which will be taking place in Rwanda and Kenya. Beautiful, very well-known safari destinations. It'll be for 6 people, and it'll be next year in September, so September 2025. It's 2 of the most iconic species that you could get to see in one trip. And of course, after the gorillas, you go for the migration. And the best part about it is that you will have a hot air balloon experience, and you'll be able to see the migration from the top and the big herds. That must be definitely a bucket list point for a lot of people, and I can imagine it would be an amazing experience. Well, looks like something spooked the zebras. Maybe they just spooked each other, but I think we lost Old Onyo. And we're at Naledi Dam, also in Olifants West. We've got this bull elephant. He looks like he's just mud wallowed. I think he might be coming in for a drink. I can see it's been very busy around this well today. Oh, there we go. Washing the tip of his trunk. I'm sure he removed whatever excess dirt from that mud wallowing session was there. What a good little spot. See, there's a little bit of shade there on the far side of the water. Would be a perfect spot for a predator to be spending some downtime. this time of the day. A nice big gulp. Well, at least I thought it was. It seems to be done. And as he's moving off, I think we should head back to Cat Eye Pan and see what's changed that side. Aha. Nice, beautiful view of a big male giraffe taking arguably one of the longest sips I've ever seen giraffe take. Now either he must be very thirsty or quite at ease in this area. Look at that long tongue coming out, licking off whatever moisture still on the lips. I wanted to say I think he was going to go in for a second one. You can usually tell if they keep their head a little bit lower like that. Just look at the effort this giraffe's going through. You can see front legs bending quite a distance. Need to make sure he's got sure footing. And a little hop there. Straighten the legs. And these guys they generally can't keep their head down for too long. So what we're seeing here is actually quite a unique sighting of a giraffe drinking. It is quite long. I guess looks like a nice large bull giraffe. This you can see his face certainly had one or two stories to tell. What an amazing animal. Now it's interesting to see the birds it's obviously very hot there. The birds, even though the oxpeckers are sitting on the shady side, where you can just see the heads moving, bobbing, basically combing through the layer of fur, or the different layers, trying to pick up on whatever ticks they might find there. Generally the smaller ticks up there. Let's see. Hopefully I might go in for one more sip. No. It's an animal that's got excellent eyesight and they can just stand around looking at things for a while, but when they spot something that they're not sure, and they can stand dead still for quite a while. Make sure they know what they're looking at. This is pretty incredible. It seems like he's not moving at all. If it wasn't for the ear, and mostly probably because there's flies flying around it, probably a bit of biting flies as well. But he seems to have his attention fixed in that direction, so I'm sure it spotted something. And definitely noticed something. This is what I find most amazing about giraffes. That intense concentration. Like 100% sure they know what they're seeing. And they know they blend in. Even though they're such tall animals. Yes, they can stand out. Well, whatever it was probably not too serious. Otherwise he wouldn't be going down for his next serve. And then that little flick of the head and getting himself back into position. I find that tongue amazing. It's so long, and you can see now like this, it's obviously clearing off whatever excess moisture is around the lips, but also a very effective tool for the animal to feed. You can reach a little bit further out to the juicy leaves. It's even darker in color. And one theory suggests it's that way, so that they can make sure to protect it from the sun. Imagine a tongue being hidden in the mouth most of the time and out in the open while this giraffe feeds, and they aren't ruminants, meaning they will feed as much as possible in one go, try and get as much food down, which they'll regurgitate and chew later on. Old Punkster, I agree, this is a very wonderful cam, especially with this giraffe. I think it's just so nice to give us a very nice close-up complete picture, and it's nice to see this relaxed old bull here. They're such fascinating animals. Ziggy, you asking what kind of animals this giraffe can be vulnerable to when it's drinking. So that's the one thing. I think that's probably why it was so intensely focused on whatever was there, and it is because predators like, for instance, a lion. I'd say probably not hyena, but a lion would certainly be able to utilize a situation like that. You can see in slow motion it's moving off very quickly. And it looks like the giraffe's gone for now, but what an amazing show he gave us. Certainly picked a good time of the day. Nice and warm. Not too much else around. So we're gonna head over to Okukuyu and to see what Africam's got there. And we have a herd of elephants. What seems to be a kudu and some zebra. Completely different scene. Wide open spaces. Some of the elephants seem to be moving out as others are moving in. That's quite interesting. This herd immediately turned around. Oh, no, I think it is time to go. That's all. Almost in one motion. Indeed, very, very organized. But I guess the matriarch and a herd this size will have to run a tight schedule. Make sure that everybody gets to go where they need to. I'm pretty sure as they move off we might see that zebra come in. And just like that, I'm witnessing quite an amazing thing. Just like how the natural order of things work out here. They know how it works. I also find it very, very fascinating that the elephants in this particular region are not quite as destructive towards the trees as elephants in some other regions. There's always a lot of debate about elephants causing potential harm in areas, but part of an elephant as a ecosystem engineer, as it's known, animals that have very, very large impact, ecological impact on areas, they tend to open up thicker areas. But it's interesting, over here they realize that these trees are vital to their survival different times of the year, so they need to ration it. You can see they're moving off. I've noticed before some of the herds move off in that direction. It looks like there's a pretty prominent game trail heading in that direction, so I'm assuming that there would be quite good general feeding grounds that side. Endless views here. Even though they look like they're taking longer, they are moving off quite quickly. Here we can see some springbok coming in. We still have this one kudu drinking here on the water's edge. Always been enjoying watching the springbok coming down to the water. It's not an animal that I get to see as often as I would like. It's quite nice to be able to get to know them a little bit better through the watering holes. Well known, very animals that's very well adapted to these drier conditions. Regularly drink if it's available, surface water. You can see they don't mind too much about the middle of the day and the heat. In some of these regions, quite far away from water, some of these springbok don't even need to drink water for very, very long periods of time, quite extensive periods. They generally get their moisture from the food. They're well adapted to tolerating and handling the odd plants available in this area, like some succulents and some of the tougher, smaller shrubs. Now the kudu's just casually moving off. Probably got a long way to go. Although with the kudu, I wouldn't be surprised if this kudu might just walk to one of those nearby trees and stand in the shade. Well, the elephants seem to be getting a proper move on now. I had a brief stop there. I'm assuming to feed on something. It looks maybe a little open patch. It's quite interesting terrain here, very, very rocky. Limestone and concrete, if I'm not mistaken. Due to the uneven terrain, the animals tend to stick to the game trails. As you can see, it's a very prominent one that those elephants are on. The elephants are moving off. Some of the antelope have come down. And it's certainly been a good elephant day this far, but let's see if we might spot some more at Tau in the last few minutes. And indeed, we have some very fortunate luck today with elephants around the watering hole. And here we have a dust game going on. Oof, there's a big elephant bull moving off at the back there. It's a huge animal. And then you can see how much closer the zebra and the wildebeest are to the camera, and that elephant just dwarfs them there in the back. It looks like he conveniently stepped away far enough from the watering hole to relieve himself. By the looks of it, he's already dusted himself. If I compare him to some of the muddier elephants in the foreground. But I also find it interesting that these elephant groups, I know a big bull like that's often interested in the elephant herds in an area, so seeing him seemingly moving away, not hanging around with the herds, maybe he's well aware of the conditions within these herds. There we've got a very beautiful view of the zebra with its shadow stripes, as it's known, in between the lighter paler brown stripes. Judging from the color of this one's coat, I'm pretty sure it also had a dust bath at some point. Jive Bunny, that was indeed a very, very big elephant bull. That at the back, it was huge. Now that he's moved away, it looks like some elephants going down to the water. You can see the open patch getting well used, not just for no particular reason, maybe other than that it's open. You can see quite far. The elephant vigorously rubbing its eye, shaking some excess dust off. Now it looks like they're waiting for some of the other elephants to come over before they move on, so I think they are waiting for that group. But what a spectacular afternoon this has been. Elephant magic all around, all the watering holes. And from my side, I would like to thank all our viewers joined in this afternoon to see the elephant pool parties. I really hope that you stay on for the sunset safari, and yeah, I hope you join us again tomorrow afternoon.
Hello everyone, and welcome. My name is Amy, and this is the show where we look at the highlights of our most recent game drives. This is On Safari.